What's up, y'all? In today's video, we're going to be talking about 10 innovative strategies for growing your church. So if you feel like your church is the best kept secret in town and you just need help getting the word out, stay tuned because I think these 10 strategies can help you. So let's dive into 10 innovative strategies for growing your church right now. What's up, y'all? My name is Chris Abbott, but all my friends just call me Abbo. And I created this channel to help out pastors and church leaders with insanely practical advice, ideas, and strategies for growing your church, reaching new families, and ultimately making heaven crowded. So make sure to like and subscribe, and you can hit that little bell notification. That way you get notified every single time we drop a new video. And I've got a bunch of new videos coming. Okay, so we're going to talk about 10 of my favorite innovative strategies for actually growing your church in this video, which I'm pretty pumped about. I get excited about all these videos, but I'm really excited about this one here today. But here's the deal. I don't want to leave you with just 10. So I actually put together 101 of my favorite church growth strategies, put them all into a convenient PDF that you can download absolutely free. That's my gift to you. So just head over to churchfuel.com/101ideas, and you can actually download that PDF for free. Okay, so our first strategy is a visitor funnel. Now, here's the deal. If you've ever read Good to Great from Jim Collins, man, I love that book. It's so much practical advice, especially for us in ministry. But one of the things that he talks about is the flywheel effect, right? This idea that when you're first trying to get something started, right? First trying to get some momentum, it's like this giant, huge flywheel that weighs several tons made out of solid metal. It's like 30 feet in diameter, right? And you got like the whole team pushing on it with all of their might just to try to get that moving, right? But once that flywheel starts turning, it starts picking up a little bit of momentum, a little bit more momentum, and pretty soon that flywheel is propelled by its own momentum, and all you have to do is reach out every once in a while and just push it as it goes by and just to keep it going. But the hard part is actually getting it started and getting that momentum in the beginning. It's that way with anything that's worthwhile, and it's the same exact way with the visitor funnel. So here's what I recommend for a 4-part visitor funnel. So grab a smartphone and create a vertical selfie video of you just inviting people to your church, right? 30 seconds, 30 to 45 seconds, doesn't need to be any longer than that. And then run it as a Facebook ad, not a boosted post, but a Facebook ad on Facebook and Instagram, targeting everyone who lives within driving distance of your church. All right, typically it's about 10 to 15 miles, depending on what part of the country you live in, right? And then create a traffic ad that's going to send people from Facebook over to a landing page on your website. I recommend doing a plan your visit landing page, right? So it's not just an invite page, but it's actually has places on there where they can actually sign up for plan your visit, right? Which is basically just a fancy way of letting people schedule an appointment to visit your church. That way you can call them as soon as they sign up, and then you can assign a friendly person to meet them at the front door, right? So now it's like they have a best friend waiting for them when they walk in, right? Someone to help them, give them a tour of the church, help them get their kids checked in, save seats for them in service, get them a free cup of coffee, introduce them around to some friendly staff and leaders, right? This is a really, really great way to get people plugged in from the moment they set foot on your campus. Then just make sure that those hosts actually sit with them in service, right? Just like a friend would if they invited you to church. And then afterwards, plug them into a follow-up system that's going to automatically invite them back to church. Now, we're going to talk about my recommended follow-up system here in just a couple of minutes. But for now, just remember that a great visitor system is a Facebook page that leads to a landing page where people can plan a visit, and then you plug them into a follow-up system. All right, number 2, landing pages. Now, just like we talked about here with the plan your visit page, landing pages are one of the most underutilized church growth strategies in ministry today, okay? Now, here's what it is, right? This is not your homepage, right? And it's not like your about page. This is a specific page on your website that you set up for people to land on when they come from either social media or maybe a Facebook or Instagram ad or an invite card or a direct mail piece, right? Whatever it is, you're sending the traffic from somewhere and they are landing on this page. Now, the number one rule for landing pages is if you say more than one thing, you say nothing at all. So you can't ask them to do more than one thing on that landing page, right? So you can't ask them to sign up for Plan Your Visit and pre-register your kids and RSVP for our women's conference that's coming up. You can only say one thing. Okay, so my recommendation is to make that Plan Your Visit. Give people a way to sign up for Plan Your Visit so that you have a friendly host waiting for them at the front door when they get there. When my church started doing this, we actually increased our first-time visitors by 42% in the first month, by 60% in the second month, 87% in the third month, and we increased our visitors by 113% in the fourth month, all because of Plan Your Visit. You also want to create a dedicated landing page for all of your church events. So Easter, Christmas, back to school bash, fall festival, new sermon series, right? Create a landing page that just gives information about that one event and has a call to action to Plan Your Visit. Most church CRMs are actually terrible at Plan Your Visit, so I recommend using software like Text in Church that's going to make it really, really easy, and it's going to make sure that people actually convert and sign up for Plan Your Visit. Number 3, the red cup system. Okay, now my church learned about this from another church. I think it was maybe Pastor Marcus Meekum that told us about this, so I hope I'm giving credit where credit is due, but I love this. This is such a great idea, right? All you want to do is if you have like a coffee shop or a coffee bar or even just like a table where you have free coffee, right? Make sure that you have a volunteer, somebody working there, and then make sure that you're giving out free drinks for all of your first-time visitors. You could have a sign up that says free drinks for first-time visitors. You can make sure to say that in your announcements during service. If you give away like a free visitor gift, which I definitely recommend that you do. At my church, we do like a free visitor box, right? You can put a couple of cards in there for free drinks, right? But however you do it, you want to make sure that all of your visitors know that they get a free drink and make sure that they go to the coffee shop to go get one, right? Then what you do is you have all of your regular coffee cups for everybody else, right? White, brown, whatever type of coffee cups, right? You're buying at Walmart. But then you need to have a stack of red cups, and these are just for your visitors. Okay, here's what this does. So whenever someone turns in that visitor card or says, hey, it's my first time, they said I get a free drink, you're like, yeah, absolutely, right? Get them whatever they want. Make sure to put it in a red cup, right? And then what you do is train all of your leaders, your staff, your volunteers. Hey, if you see someone with a red cup, it's their first time. So go out of your way, make sure to go up and introduce yourself, right? And talk to them. This is a great way to be able to identify first-time visitors without making it weird or awkward, right? But now you've trained your people to go out of their way to meet all of the first-time visitors, and you're going to get a lot more of them coming back because they actually connected with people on their first visit as opposed to just slipping in and slipping out. So red cup system is awesome, and I definitely recommend that you try it at your church. Number 4, a 12-week follow-up system. So I referenced this in the visitor funnel, but a 12-week follow-up system is huge because here's the deal. Before COVID, the average Christian went to church 1.2 times per month, right? So, and that's like people who are actually saved, who are living for God and everything, right? Just the average church attender, the average Christian only goes to church 1.2 times per month. Now, post-COVID, the average Christian goes to church once every other month, right? That's crazy. That's shocking to me, right? Like, and probably you too, right? Like if you're in ministry for as long as we've been in, like, I think I've been in church almost every single Sunday since I became a Christian when I was 13 years old, right? I'm sure I missed a couple of services here and there, but then I also went to Sunday night. Sometimes I went to Sunday morning, both services. And I went to Wednesday night. Like I've been to church so much. I don't understand how people can do this, but that's just how it is, right? That's just how our culture is. That's how most people are right now. So what we need to do is we need to create an extended follow-up system because on average, if that person has come to church once, it's probably going to be another month or two before they come back. So we need to create an extended 12-week follow-up system that's 90 days of us following up with them and inviting them back to church, right? Because the only thing better than a first-time visitor is a second-time visitor. There are a lot of different platforms and software that you can use for this. I personally love Text in Church. That's what I use for my church and for a bunch of the churches that I've helped build out a follow-up system in the past. But you can use whatever you want. Just make sure that you are doing at least 12 weeks. You can do even longer than that if you want to. And I recommend having 3 different touch points, right? I recommend having some of it be text messages, some of it be emails, and then some of it be personal phone calls. Number 5, party with the pastor. You can call this anything you want to. I've heard this called all different stuff. Some people call it a welcome party. Some people call it next steps. Some people call it pizza with the pastor. I personally am partial to having the word party in there, right? So it can be a welcome party, it can be a party with the pastor, it can be a pizza party with the pastor, whatever you want to call it. But I think it's important that you tell people the pastor is going to be there, right? 80% of people who meet the pastor on the first visit will come back for a second visit. Sorry, so you want to make sure that you're meeting them, but they want some FaceTime with you. They want to get to know you, and they're thinking about committing to the church. So a party with the pastor is a great way for you to get to know them, for them to get to know you, and it's a great next step, right? And I like this so much better than calling this like a membership class or anything like that, because, man, I don't know about you, right? But nobody wants to go to class. Everybody wants to go to a party, right? So have a party with the pastor, and my recommendation is make sure that you spend some time meeting them, right? And then introducing them to their next step. Most of the time, that's probably going to be either joining a small group or maybe joining a serve team, right? But you want to make sure that you are spending some time hanging out with them. I recommend having some free food and drinks, and then also giving them a next step. One of the most important principles in church growth is no dead ends, right? You never want to have just a dead end. So even an email should have a next step. Even a text message should have a next step. An invite should have a next step. And your party with the pastor should definitely have a next step. Okay, so number 6, visitor growth engine. Now, I mentioned earlier that there was something that I had used on this list that helped 46,000 people find my church last month, and this is it. It's a visitor growth engine. There's a couple different parts of it, and we actually have an entire course on this over at churchfield.com. But essentially, it's building out a couple of different pieces. The first piece is you want to have a church overview document, right? And this is going to talk about your mission statement, your vision statement, your ideal church member, right? Who you're targeting. And then you also want to claim your Google My Business profile, and you want to put some photos and videos on there. You want to make sure that all of that information lines up and matches everything on your website and your Facebook page and Instagram and all that. Then you want to make sure to get online reviews, especially on Google, Facebook, and Yelp. Those 3 are huge in the search engine rankings. And you want to start building a contact list. I recommend starting to create an email list and a text message list that you can use to contact and invite people to church whenever you're doing a new sermon series or a church event or Christmas or Easter or back to school or a fall festival. But when you do this right, this will actually live online, and it'll constantly be helping your church get in front of people. So I actually had a notification from Google that said last month, 46,000 people found your church on Google. And all of that is because of the visitor growth engine that I set up years ago and haven't touched, but it just constantly runs in the background. Number 7, prayer ads. I've talked about this one a lot. We've got tons of videos that actually go in depth. So you can check out some of the videos in the description. We'll link up some of those videos that talk more about prayer ads. But essentially, you want to run an ad on Facebook and Instagram asking people how you can pray for them. And then you want to send people from that Facebook ad into Messenger, right? Where now you can collect their prayer requests. You can send them a personalized custom audio prayer, and then you can invite them out to church. I love these. I've helped over 1,000 churches run prayer ads. This is one of the most effective things I've personally ever seen. We actually saw a church of 15 people that grew from 15 to 50 in 2 months using prayer ads. Saw a church of 60 go from 60 to 110 in 3 months. And then actually saw a church plant go from 130 people to over 200, actually break the 200 barrier from 130 to over 200 in 3 months over the summer, right? So they have their 2 largest membership classes of people actually joining the church in July and August, right? So I'm a huge fan. Like when I talk about prayer ads, like I'm not selling, I'm sold, right? I've seen this work over and over again. I talk about it all the time, but it's just because it is so effective at reaching new people and making heaven crowded. I love it. Number 8, become a coach. Okay, so this is part of a leadership system. If you want to break the 200 barrier and then continue to break church growth barriers beyond that, right? When you're a smaller church, you can be the primary caregiver, but if you want to break 200, you can't. You actually have to raise up leaders and they become the caregivers, right? So the pastors of growing churches become coaches, not caregivers, right? So what happens, you'll raise up some leaders and you'll start empowering them and giving ministry away, and then they're the ones that start to do a lot of, maybe the hospital visits or the house calls or some of the funerals and weddings, right? Just some of all the other different things that you won't have time to do all the time, especially as the church grows and continues to scale, right? So become a coach and you will coach up a team of leaders and be the primary caregivers for the people in your church. Now, number 9 is a giving system. Now, here's the deal. People don't give to need, they give to vision. Okay, I've seen this mistake made in churches all the time, time, right? Churches will be like, oh, hey, this is how much money we need. And, we're not having enough money. And if we don't have another $1,000 come in, we're going to have to shut down the kids ministry, or, the youth group isn't going to be able to go to camp. Don't talk about need. People don't give to need. They give to vision, right? So cast a vision. And that might be the reality, right? But instead of saying, hey, if we don't get another $500, the youth group isn't going to be able to go to camp, right? Instead, tell a story, cast some vision. Be like, you know what? I don't know about y'all, but man, when I was 13 years old, I got invited by a pretty girl to go to church camp, right? And I didn't want anything to do with God or church camp, but that girl was really pretty, right? So man, I went just to get closer to her and kind of get bonus points with her. But you know what happened? Man, I showed up to church camp on the very first day and I met the craziest youth pastor I've ever met in my entire life. I was like, dude, this guy's crazy and I love him, right? And a couple hours later, man, we were in our very first service, man, and I raised my hands to worship to God in the very first time. And I surrendered my life. Man, I actually got saved that day on the very first day of church camp. And I'm telling you, man, by the end of that week, I was on fire for God and I have never looked back. I was 13 years old and church camp changed my life. That's a true story, by the way. Right. So I'll just say, like, man, I don't know about y'all, but every chance I have to give and sow seed to send teenagers to church camp, man, I jump at that. Right. So man, camp's actually going to cost $130 per person this year. Man, would you pray about and consider sponsoring a teenager and sending them to camp this year? People don't give to need. They give to vision. Number 10, fill the fridge. And this one is great, especially if you're trying to reach young families with elementary school age kids. All you do is you want to reach out to the principal or vice principal at the local elementary school, whichever one's closest to your church, right? And just say, hey, man, we love teachers so much. We appreciate what y'all are doing so much. Would it be okay if once a month our church came in and we just filled the fridge with a bunch of like sodas and drinks and snacks? Man, we just want to, find a small way to give back and kind of support the teachers and everything you guys are doing. There's no school out there that's going to say no to that, right? And then all you do is once a month come in and just, buy a bunch of, cases of Dr. Pepper and Pepsi and Coke and whatever they like, right? All the, don't go buy the generic like Dr. Thunder and Sam's Choice soda and all stuff. Right? Buy the good stuff. Man, if they like Starbucks drinks, man, give them a bunch of like the, those Starbucks Frappuccino drinks and stuff like that. Red Bull, whatever it is, right? For probably about $50, especially if you go to Costco, you probably spend like $50 and just get a bunch of great drinks, fill the fridge, probably get a bunch of those like little Hostess, little Debbie snack cakes and stuff like that you could set out there as well. Or you could have some people in your church, maybe, bake a cake or some cupcakes or something like that, right? But just go in there once a month, fill the fridge, and then just leave a note on the fridge saying, hey, we filled the fridge. Thank you guys so much for what you do. Man, you guys are literally raising the next generation. We love you. We're praying for you, right? Love, Pastor Chris and your friends at Gus Church, right? Like, man, just make sure you do that once a month and stay consistent in that. And I'm telling you, that goes so far. And what's cool is teachers talk, right? Teachers talk to other teachers talks to parents, and word will start to get out about this amazing church and this really, really cool thing that they do where they come in every couple of weeks and just fill the fridge just to show appreciation for us. All right, and here's a bonus one that I absolutely love that I know most churches will not do, but if you do this, it can be a game changer, right? And that is to start a local podcast, okay? My recommendation would be to start a video podcast on YouTube and then upload the audio from that to Apple Podcasts and Spotify and all the different places. There's plenty of websites that can do this for you. It's all like automatic. It's easy, right? So don't worry about the tech stuff. You're like one Google away from being able to figure that out. But if you were to start a local podcast, a video podcast, where all that you do is you interview local business owners and city council members and people from around the city that have influence, right? And just interview them about the city. Make sure that everything that you talk about is your community and your city, and you'll start to get known and get the word out about your church simply because you're the one who's interviewing the mayor or the local police chief or some of the firefighters or the principal of the local elementary school or the entrepreneur that owns 10 businesses around town, right? This is a really, really cool way to influence the influencers, right? You help them get the word out about their business or school or, organization. You're also building relationships, right? And now you start to become known as the go-to person for your city. The reason I like YouTube is because YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world behind only Google, and it's owned by Google, right? So if you're doing a video podcast, right, make sure to use the name of your city or town in your podcast and in the videos and that kind of stuff. But what's going to happen is you're going to start to rank. So when people are looking for things to do in your city, your podcast is going to start to come up in their Google searches and their YouTube searches, right? So not only get the word out about about your church, but you're also building relationships, influencing the influencers, and you're getting the word out about your church and inviting new families in. Man, if you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe and head on over and watch How to Grow Your Church Congregation. And don't forget to download your free copy of 101 Church Growth Ideas you've probably never thought of. Just go to churchfuel.com/101 ideas. Man, I love you guys. Thanks so much for tuning into the channel. Make sure that you go out. You are a light to the darkness. Make heaven crowded. We'll see you soon.